Resilience is all about an attitude. It's all about like knowing this is just temporary. This is just a struggle and you will get through this, and knowing that there's something lighter on the other side. You just have to look for it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Going in. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
We're back for another mini episode, and I believe our topic day today will be a topic
This
that's very
day, this
important to
very
both of
day.
us. Yes, this very day. The topic is resilience. So,
Yes.
if we were to define resilience, Mandy, what's your definition? Then I'll share mine.
Ooh, I didn't know you were gonna make me be like Webster's dictionary here, Amani. Let's see.
But
I
here,
think
I'll share mine
you
first. How
share
about that?
yours. You share yours. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Resilience is the ability to bounce back continuously after defeat without stopping or giving up.
Ooh, I like that. I think when I think of resilience, I think of grit, which is funny because you and I were just talking about grit off camera. I think of grit and determination and tenacity and the ability to keep pushing through and coming out on top on the other side. I think like pushing is one thing, but actually when I see the resilience, it's like actually coming out on top of this, or just coming out at all of the situation that you're in.
So then, what is your most recent personal example of resilience for yourself?
Oh boy.
If you need a minute to chat, think I can share mine.
I mean, I think where I'm at right now in my personal health journey, I'm very
Mm,
resilient. I think it is extremely difficult to maintain a schedule, a sleep schedule, an eating schedule, a workout schedule, a squat schedule, a breathing schedule, a meditation schedule, a journaling schedule. Like it's very hard because I work in multiple time zones. I am running multiple businesses and I'm on the road a bunch. And everything's working out well. I mean, I think it takes a lot of tenacity to actually do all that stuff. And I have so much farther to go, but I feel like I've been really resilient right now with my health journey.
okay.
Yeah, what
Okay.
about
I think
you?
for me, just the whole book launch writing process is the
Yeah.
supreme example. It's just, it was very, very difficult, but you keep going. And that would be the best example I have. That's very real. That's very current.
I love that. When can you think of a time when your resilience was challenged, like where you just sort of called it in and just threw the book at it and said, I can't do this. I'm quitting." Kind of not quitting, but where it was like you didn't put the pedal to the metal as much as you wanted to.
Hmm. I like that question. I'm thinking of an answer. Maybe no, because I'm trying to think of examples where I just said I can't do it. Huh. Because I think about Scratch Academy, saw that through.
Yeah.
Going to grad school, saw that through. Even younger, you know, maybe when I don't like to use this example. Maybe when I left Marriott, because I could have stuck that through, but I just
Mhm.
wasn't happy. I was like, you know what, this is not for me anymore. If there's ever a time to leave, it's now. So I
Yeah.
decided to change directions and said, no more, no more fighting it.
Yeah. I think
That's
I
what
think
comes
you
to
bring up a good point with that. I think sometimes we all think, "Oh, we just gotta push through. We gotta be resilient." But, like, sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is just switch gears. And
hmm
some people might look at it as quitting, like you quit the hotel business, but other people might look at it as switching gears, which you switched gears to a whole new career, right? So,
Yes.
I that's a struggle I have for myself because I am by nature, I am wired to be tenacious and resilient. And I sometimes have to put my own brakes on and my own stop signs up to be like, you know what, Mandy, this isn't a moment to push. This
Yeah.
isn't a moment to knock through the doors. This is actually a moment to wait or a moment to pause or a moment to analyze or a moment to assess. So that's a struggle of mine where I have to really figure out like, is this a pushing moment or is this like a pause and wait and see kind of moment? And I think that's probably what happened with your hotel career, right? It's like it
Yeah.
wasn't a pushing moment. That was a moment to pause and switch gears a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, is there someone else who you feel just is the epitome of resilience? I'll give you an example because
Yeah.
I talk about this topic on stage through my keynote, Resilient and Brilliant 7 Keys to Unlock Your Creativity. One of the
Mhm.
main keys, that was a funny little segue.
I like
One of the
that.
main keys is resilience, practicing resilience. And there's this group called the Whispers. And I talk about them frequently because they released their first song in 1964. It took them 23 years to get their first Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 hit. They're in the book. I talk about it in the book. And I think that they are one of the most resilient groups out there because they stuck with it for so long, like 23
Mm.
years, just trying to just keep cracking at it. So I love their story. It's very inspiring to me. Is there anyone or anything that comes to mind that kind of you feel is the epitome of resilience?
You know, I mean, I think my parents are very resilient. I
Oh,
think I really learned that from watching Kathy and Dave Kabasek is, they were young parents, they were high school sweethearts, they had 4 kids by the time they were 26 years old. My dad was an elevator mechanic, and I watched them have struggle after struggle and success after success, but nothing really flowed. Like it was never coast. It was always like, all right, well, we're going to deal with this and then we're going to tackle this. And now I look at them, in their late 70s, and they've got all these grandkids and kids, and my both of them had very successful careers, and in their retirement, they actually are enjoying the fruits of their labor, and none of that happens without resilience. None of that,
yeah,
right? And I think
yeah.
resilience is all about an attitude. It's all about like knowing this is just temporary, this is just a struggle and you will get through this, and knowing that there's something lighter on the other side. You just have to look for it.
Mhm.
And my parents are great examples of that.
So it's funny how we were talking about grit because there's this term called grit attributes.
Hmm.
And let me see here. I'm trying to find out what they are. There's like courage, passion, perseverance, and resilience.
Hmm.
I feel resilience is the most important one. Why do you think it is the most difficult one to maintain? The difficult kind of attribute or characteristics to maintain?
Oh, that's interesting. So what is it? It's courage, passion, perseverance, and
Perseverance, yeah.
resilience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they also have here, like, conscientiousness, but I'm not sure that quite fits.
Yeah. I think resilience is the end result of perseverance. Like I think resilience is the hardest to maintain because sometimes you push and push and you don't get results, which is also okay. Sometimes you're not meant to get results. Sometimes you're just meant to go through the process, right? So I think resilience is the cumulative effort of all those other things. And I think sometimes you don't get to the resilience part. You don't get to the results piece.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's so easy nowadays to quit. Just tap
Mhm.
out, not
Yeah.
do it. I think it's the easiest it's very difficult to not quit is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think that nowadays people, they try something out, doesn't work out, "Oh, I'll quit and move on to the next."
Yeah.
Or, even sales, they make a couple sales calls or pitches, doesn't work out. Nope, this is not for me. Working out, that's why they say that what's the busiest day for the workout gym is January 1st, and then by February 16th or something, people are never there.
That's right. That's what our guest, Chad Yarberts is gonna talk about, the fitness cliff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's true.
exactly.
There's
So,
science there's science behind it.
yeah.
You bring up a good point about, mental and, like, mindset. So, where do you think people need to sit in the mindset space as it relates to resilience?
They need to have an abundant mindset. They have to,
Mm,
so they understand and believe that everything is possible. That way they won't compare. They'll stay on their own journey. It's very hard to not compare, though. I cannot lie. It's very, very difficult. They must continue to have the faith. So I think they just need to have the abundance mindset compared to the fixed mindset, which means they believe nothing will ever change. So I think
Hmm.
that's important.
Hmm. I always forget about that fixed mindset. That's interesting that you say that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do think I agree with you. Resilience is a mindset, and I think you have to be patient. Like I wish
Mhm.
patient was a part of those four grit
Mm,
key pillars there
yeah.
because I think
Yeah.
patience is a big part of it all too.
Agreed. So final question would be, do you have a personal example of resilience that you're most proud of?
Hmm. I mean, why? I will say I think my marriage to my husband, to Scooter.
Oh, very good.
I
Okay.
I think I think it's been really difficult for me to be in a relationship my whole life. Like I just like I don't want to say I'm not a good sharer, but like I'm a single person. I like to be that person that floats from group to group or people to people. I don't normally like to settle into a gang or settle into a person. It's just not I'm not
Mhm.
most comfortable there. And when I met him, there was something different about him. I knew he was somebody I wanted to be around more and more and more. And then I knew the terms of being with him would mean that I would make a commitment and get married and all that stuff. And even though I wasn't sure about getting married and lifetime commitment and all that stuff, I did it and I stuck with it. And I'm so glad I did because it's the best club I never knew I wanted to be a member of.
Well
Like it's
said.
the yeah, and I think a marriage requires a lot of resilience. It goes through so many twists and turns and I my mom, I remember, told me growing up that the thing that she really appreciated about my dad was that he would grow and she would stop, and then she would grow and then he would stop. They just took turns catching up to each other's growth, but she always saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And I feel the same, with my husband is just like as things change and move, I always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I think you have to have the mindset to look for the light, right? Because sometimes you're
Mhm.
in the moment, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." But when you look through the light and you look for the light, that's a tone of resilience, I think.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
good story. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, I think it's just my whole Scratch Academy story when I went through the
Mhm.
whole program and didn't pass the last class. I missed passing the last class by 2 points and had to repeat it again when there was a 73% fail rate and able to do that, get one of the highest scores. Like that is one of my favorite stories right there.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I the fact that you went to the Scratch Academy, that was
Mhm.
awesome. So cool. That's so cool.
Yes. Yes. All right, so that is our mini on resilience. Perhaps you can share your definition of resilience in the comments. Send us a note via social media. Also, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on the platform you're listening or watching on. And with that, we will see you all next week.
See you next
Bye.
week.
Thank you for tuning in to Adventures in Business. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on the platform that you're currently listening it on. And don't forget to share it with your friends and anybody that might be as much of the business nerds as Amani and I are. See you next time for another captivating interview.